All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our ACCA online class. Of course, also suitable for ICANN candidates. Yeah, welcome. Can someone just confirm you can hear me before we start? All right, thank you for the confirmation. Thank you so much. I promised us the last time we met that I'm going to use today to look at some ACCA questions on what we have learned so far around step acquisition and of course disposal of subsidiary. I think the last time we met, that was yesterday, I was able to work out a number of questions around disposal of subsidiary. You know, we have to learn about three things under complex group accounting: the step acquisition, otherwise known as piecemeal acquisition. You remember, of course, disposal of subsidiary. And the last one is control scenarios. So I deliberately penned control to control scenarios because I want to be sure that we are good at step acquisition. And when we see a disposal of subsidiary scenario question come September or November for ICANN, okay? All right, so I have some compilation of questions for a review that also has ethics. So probably I'll use the opportunity to also take you up on the ethics. And part of those questions also has IS-12 income taxes. So I'm aware you've not really treated IS-12. Probably in the coming weeks, we're going to take a look at that. So I won't really bother you about IS-12 for now. And IFRS 15, revenue from contracts with customers. We're also going to deal with that in the coming weeks, but I think I would like to use the question around that to start to explain in advance, you know, what we have around IFRS 15. So let's go straight to business. So I was trying to use that time to wait for some of our colleagues to join us. So I think I have about 3 questions that I'm going to work out and try to explain to us. If it takes us 1 hour, then we end the class. If it takes us 2 hours, we are still there. So, so let's see. So, but I'm hoping maybe in the next 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, we should be able to be through around that, because I know I've really spent a lot of time explaining this, but I just need to be sure that our feet is standing on step acquisition and disposal. I have said it, you can't really escape them in your exams, okay? Especially for ACCA, because ACCA exams is a scenario exams, the examiner can lump all of them up in a single question. So you really need to have an idea of all of that. Even ICANN can also decide to break your compulsory question into disposal, acquisition, control scenarios, and all of that. Okay, or what's it called? That's the acquisition. That's step acquisition. Okay. Now, so we have a question before us, and I'm going to read through. Then we go straight to how do we really solve this question. So I deliberately put those marks there so that you can really see that most of the times you might have done a particular a part of that question well, but along the line the marks might just be too small. Okay, so that you can really see how marks have been awarded. Okay, now so let me just read the requirement, then I go into that scenario. So it said, discuss with calculations how to correct the errors arising in the consolidated financial statement at 30th November 2007 in relation to acquisition of loss. Show the adjusting entries required. What does that mean? You must show journals. So as you are learning, you also need to learn journals. Once the examiner says, discuss the accounting treatment, then make sure you have journal. But here, you even specify what is the adjusting entries. In the part I of part A of the question, it says, discuss with calculations. I don't need the examiner to tell me with calculations. Once it says discuss the accounting treatment, obviously the calculations will also be there. This is a standard ACCA question, okay? How the purchase of the additional share in law should have been, that means they have done it wrongly. This is ACCA, okay? Accounted for in the consolidated financial statement, show the adjusting entries. The guy is also asking me journals. Part B, high. Discuss why the directors of BED were correct to classify the proposed sale of JAM as disposal group held for sale within the context of IFRS 5. Can you see? IFRS 5 is flashing me. We did it 4 weeks ago. Now, part high of part B of the question is saying, discuss again with calculation the correct accounting treatment in the investment in JAM in the consolidated statement of financial position for the year ended 30th November 20x7. Okay, so obviously I'm just assuming you're in the exam and you already see all of this. Wow, this is a whole lot and you have very limited time. So what do I do? So that's why I told you earlier that keep reading scenarios. So that's why I took the pain to help you to compile this question like I promised, yesterday, so that we can really look into that. And it's just be for nothing. It's very simple. Once you know your principle, okay? So let's take a look. Background to this question. It says, bet a listed company. That sounds so great, okay? So bet is a limited company. They are writing advanced audit and assurance. An examiner asks you what will be the audit risk at the planning stage. The fact that BET is a limited company. What does that tell you? So that means that financial statements will be read by a wider audience, and the risk of material misstatement, is going to be so calamitous. Okay, so obviously we are not doing audit here. As a reporting date of 30th November 2007. I also highlight that because I told you that date is very important. BET has investment in many subsidiaries. All group companies prepare financial statements that complies with IFRS. That's brilliant. Acquisition of loss. Now, one of the reasons why I actually like ACCA question is they will, put headings on those questions so that when you are solving a particular question, you know straight where to pick those information. Okay, so let's take a look. He said on 1st December 20x1. Remember, my reporting date is 30th November 20x7, 2 years ago. Okay, BET purchased 21% of loss, 100 million, $1 ordinary share for how much? For $40 million. Brilliant. So when I see 21%, what comes to my mind? Investment in associates. Did you see that? Remember, that's where we started from 3 weeks ago. Okay, this gave BET significant influence over loss. Even if you don't tell me that, I already know by the percentage of holding. On this date, so I'm still on 1st December 20x5, loss had a retained earnings of 80 million. Brilliant. Okay, so that talks about pre-acquisition profit. Which one can I use? Okay, now, and no other component of equity. Now, the investment in loss was correctly accounted for in the consolidated statement for the year ended 30th November 20x. So 1 year ago, it was correctly accounted for. That's fine. Then I move to second paragraph. On 1st December 20x6, when loss had a retained earnings of 150. So just last year, okay, when I had a retained earnings or loss had a retained earnings of 150. Remember the retained earnings earlier as of 1st December 20x5 is 80, and no other component of equity but acquired control over loss. This sounds interesting. Through the purchase of a further 59% in the ordinary shares, my class, what is this telling me? Step acquisition. Okay, so this is step acquisition. Did you see that? I already have 21% and I bought further 59%. Is that 80% in total? Okay, so that is step acquisition. So I already know. Then I read on. Cash consideration of 160 million was transferred in respect of the 59% holding and was correctly included in the goodwill. Did you see how I am trying to break down the question to make life easier for me? So I already see what is happening. Purchase consideration transfer on 1st December 2016, that same day, included 3 million of BET own ordinary share. So the guy also issued his own share, okay, which is 3 million. He did not give me the figure. I need to find out the figure because he only said 3 million ordinary share, but it's $1 nominal share. These are the fair value of how much? $1.50. Can you see that? So I simply multiply by 3 million so I have the figure. Now, because it's nominal value of 1 million, he issued above nominal value. That 50 kobo becomes my share premium. It now says no accounting entries has been posted. I needed to post that. Did you see now? I needed to post that. So that's what you're doing. Now, the current amount of 21% holding in loss ordinary share as at December was recognized and included in the goodwill calculation. So the fair value of that figure, of that 21% holding as at that date is 70 million. Okay. Now, that will tell you the fair value of previously retained interest. That's what it's saying. So that's 40 million. Now, when calculating the goodwill, the director used kind amount of lost net assets from individual financial statements at acquisition date. The fair value of identifiable net assets on 1st December 2006 was $365 million. The excess of the fair value over the kind amount of the net asset was due to specialized machinery with a remaining life of 10 years. Okay. So that is a specialized machinery, right? Okay. That has 10 years. The fair value of non-controlling interest of loss as at this date is 60. So I'm also interested in NCI figure. Sorry. Wow. Sorry. Where am I? Okay. Just want to pick. How is it picking everything? Okay. Let me just pick this one. Don't mind it. Don't mind the system. Okay, so 60 million, that's NCI. And this was correctly included in goodwill. Okay. Now, purchase of additional share capital in loss. Okay. So don't let me bother you with that first. So when I go to the requirements, sorry. So what's the requirement saying? So it says, discuss with calculation how to correct the errors arising in the consolidated financial statement of at November in relation to acquisition of loss. All right. So I don't need to, so I'll come back to all of this. Okay. So these are the information that I was given. So what do I do? If I were you, okay, so just start from the first paragraph and start solving. Is that okay? Now, he said, so how do I start? Even though I already know that this is step acquisition, and even if you don't know what to do, you remember that when I'm dealing with step acquisition, 3 things will happen. Can you remember? I have to measure the previously, retained interest. Previously interest that is retained. I remeasure them to their fair value, and I recognize gain and losses in profit or loss. Then I'll now measure my goodwill and NCI on full or partial basis. That's what I'm doing, and I already have my pro forma in my head. Okay. Remember, when you are doing step acquisition, goodwill is going to be recomputed. Just the way you normally do your goodwill. The only addition to that computation is the consideration paid for additional interest. That's what you're doing. Okay, so you can just start from there and you get your momentum. But if I were you, if I am doing this exam, for example, I just have in the first paragraph, it said I purchased 21% of lost 100 million share, for 40 million. So what does that tells me? This is investment in associates. Okay, so this is investment in associates. So I just straight to measure this investment in what's it called, in associates. So what do I do? What do I do on how to do that? So normally I would have used the kind amount of that 40 million. Is that okay? I would have used the kind amount of that 40 million as at this date. So this is 40 million. That's the amount that I bought it. But remember that what's it called? The retained earnings is 80 as at that date, and it has increased to 150. Did you see the issue now? It has increased to 150. So what do I do? Okay, if I want to account for that investment in associate prior to control, okay, so I would have said 150. I'm just trying to press my calculator. I told you always press calculator, even 2 plus 2 in the exam. So I would have said 150 minus 80. That's the difference between the pre and post. Remember, in our pro forma for investment in our associates, you look at the cost, then you look at share. That's the parent share of group reserve post acquisition reserve. Okay, so I multiply by 21%. So what do I have? I have 14.7. So if you have your calculator there, please be pressing. I'm trying to do this. I'll still go to my marker board when the need arises. So I'm just trying to break down the question for you first, right? Okay, so I have 14.7 million. Okay, so that means if I want to account for the investment in associates, I will now add that to the carrying amount of this 40. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have if I say 14.7 plus 40, so I'm going to have 54.7. Okay, so that is my what's it called, investments in associate. That's my carrying amount in associate. So that's what I'm explaining, to the examiner. Okay, now remember that has been included in the what's it called? Let me see. It has been included in the goodwill, Abby. So when I'm computing my what they call it, my goodwill, Abby. Now I will now do the second aspect when I obtain control. Okay, when I obtain control. So what do I do? So let me try to do that on the what's it called, on the marker board. Okay, so I'm sure you have this question with you. So let me try to locate my board and try to work that out for you before I show you. I try to explain the full solution to you. Okay, let's go. So I'm looking for the board. Okay, found. All right, so here we are. Okay, so let me try to set this table. Okay, so I'm sure you have the question with you. So I'll just go straight to the question and start solving. Okay, yeah, brilliant. I'm trying to look for. Okay, so what do we do here? So we are dealing with a step. Okay, sorry. Sorry, let me just try to restart the board marker. Okay, so let's see whether it's going to be better. So I'm looking at step acquisition. Okay, I think I'm cool. Okay, so step acquisition. Remember, we are dealing with loss, right? Okay, so this is quite Interesting. Then I come to my, what's it called? Dollar sign or in thousand. Then I have my pro forma at my head, Abby. So I take a look at the first thing is the fair value of previously held interests. Okay, the fair value of previously held interest. So let me try to find the question. It's going to tell me, I already highlighted it for you actually, but let me find the question from here because I can't go to that board. So the fair value of previously held interest, remember, look at paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4 in that question, the last line. So it says the fair value of the 21% holding at 1st December 20x6 is 70 million. So you could see that, right? So I come here, so I will say 70 million. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what we've been doing yesterday. So it's just that we are seeing a bigger scenario, okay? Now, the next thing is, what is the fair value of consideration for my additional interest? So I will come here, sorry. So I'll say fair value of consideration for additional interest. Okay, so how much is that? The examiner is going to tell me. So let me find out where it is. I think we read it somewhere. Sorry, so, what's it called? Fair value for additional, what's it called? Okay, so let me see. Yeah, so I've seen it in the second paragraph. It said cash consideration of how much is that? 160 million transferred in respect of the 59% holding. Did you see? Ask the question the right question. It's going to supply you. So it tells me, somebody just disturbing with calls. I don't know, this night. Okay, so the fair value is how much is that? 160 million. That's the for additional interest. So I come in, I say 160. Is that okay? All right. You know, normally the next thing that I have to include here is fair value of NCI. But when we read the question earlier, it talked about, you know, what's the name of this company? BET issuing its own shares. Okay. Let me find out where that was. Now look at paragraph 3. It said purchase consideration transferred on 1st December 20x also included 3 million of BET own $1 ordinary share, and the fair value was how much is that? 1.50. Can you see? So I needed to put in that. I needed to also consider that. Okay. So I will say purchase consideration. Purchase consideration. Now, if you like, you can say what's it called? Issue of share. Okay. So I open paragraph. So he said it is $1. Is it 50 kobo or 50? Is it 50 kobo? 50 kobo. Multiply by 3 million. All right. So I press my calculator. Oh, that should be 4.5, right? Okay. So I have 4.5. Did you see that? So that's what I'm doing. So I'll now say fair value of NCI. Okay. So I think somewhere in the last paragraph, you said the fair value of NCI as at 1st December 20x6 is 60 million. Okay. So I have 60 here. So I can decide to add up. Okay. So I have my total. So 70 plus 160 plus 4.5 plus 60. So what is this one giving me? It's giving me 4.5. Okay, so that should be 294,500. Okay, so this is my total investment. Okay, now, so I will ask the question, what is the fair value of my net assets? Okay, so where did they talk about net assets? in this question. Now look at the last paragraph. It said the fair value of the identifiable net asset at 1st December 2026, okay, when I obtained control, okay, was 265. So I'll now say fair value of net assets. How much is it? 265,000. Okay. So when I do this, I net off to minus 265,000. So I have 29. So here I will have so this is my goodwill. So my goodwill, if I net it off, I will have 29,500. Okay, in dollars. All right, and that's in million, right? So that's what I'm doing. Then I now go to my main notes and I explain to the examiner. Do you know that we have done the bulk of that scenario? It's just big for nothing. It's just big for nothing. Okay. Any concern for me? Is that not what we did yesterday? Is this not a question that it looks so simple when we're doing it, right? Okay, so let me go back to the main question. So that's what we are doing there. Sorry, looking for the slide. Yeah, same. Okay, so that's what we have just done there. So you now explain, we have this share premium we are going to explain. I've already told you how to do the, what's it called? The investment in associates, okay? And the ones that was not recorded, you pass your accounting entry. So let me show you the solution. Now, step acquisition. Did you see that? Now, this is what I did for you earlier. This is what I did for you. I think, yeah, goodwill calculation. Can you see? So this is a consideration, and we got this figure, if you can remember, 29.5. That's what we just did. Okay. Now, because it's ACCA, so you need to explain. So you tell the examiner that at this they bet owed 80% of loss ordinary share because he obtained control. Okay, so you just explain, then give you 1 mark. But the original 21% gives them significant influence. So loss therefore is an associate. How do you account for that? Remember, I did this for you. I explained this, remember, when we got this 14.7. So what you are doing is you are sharing, the original cost is 40 million is in the question. Let me be showing you that to see. Can you see? That's the 40 million. And the retained earnings was 80 at that time. Then shortly before I obtain control, the retained earnings is 150. So you share it. So as at that date, I still account for it as a significant influence. So that's why how you got this 14. So the difference is 70. Okay. So you now add that 14 to that original cost so that you can have investment in associates to be 15.4. Then on 1st January, your 21 investment should be included in goodwill computation. I've already revalued from 54. We said once control has been obtained, 3 things will happen. Can you remember? Okay, you're going to revalue the previously retained interest to their fair value. So any gain or loss. So this is the previously retained interest. When I revalue to a fair value of 70 million, is there in your question? Oh, I'm looking at the paper here. Let me just, okay. He said the fair value of 21% holding as at that date is 70 million. Can you see that? Okay. So that's the revaluation. So because I now revalue, I will now have to debit goodwill because if you remember, it forms part of our goodwill. We use that 70 as part of our goodwill. So it's already there. So that's why we said debit goodwill and credit profit or loss. I said 3 things will happen. So when you remeasure previously held interest to their fair value, they recognize gain or loss in your P or L. So that's this recognition that we are seeing here. How did we get this figure? We simply remove the fair value before we obtain control and the fair value after we have obtained control. That's the previous held equity interest. What I've just done is 1 mark. Did you see that? Okay. Then the share consideration. Remember I did this, Abby, to get this 4.5. So what do? You debit goodwill because it's part of my goodwill. It's also there when we did it. Okay, we had it to get our goodwill. Then you credit share capital. So when you use $1, you have 3 million. Then the assets, the balance, which is this 50, will give me what goes to share premium, which is 1.5. Did you see that? So you split that deferred consideration into two. Okay, you split it into two. No, sorry, share consideration rather. Share consideration, not deferred. Share consideration. So you split it into two. You also do the same for deferred, even though it's not share in this case. The finance element. That's what was coming to my memory. Okay, so I think we still have a question around that. Okay, so you split into two, share capital, share. All these ones, you did it in basic group accounting, even in FR. Okay, now for the net assets, for the what's it called? Sorry. Okay, sorry, let's work. For the net assets, they talked about, let me come back here. You see, can you see now that we are just solving it based on those paragraphs? Okay, so that's what you just do. Now, for the net asset, said the fair value of identifiable net assets is 265. Okay, the excess of the fair value over the kind amount of the net asset was due to specialized machinery that has a useful life of 10 years. So what are they saying here? Now, how do I get my net assets? You know how we do, our net asset, right? Now, can I quickly do that? Let me see, can I do that? Can I do that? Because of time, but we still have a long way to go, but let me try to explain here. Now, they said the net asset is, 625 here, you can see, fair value of net asset. Now said the excess. Now, how did I know that I have excess? Okay, my equity in the question is 100. Let me see, did I highlight the equity? I think we read it somewhere. Okay, it said, okay, let's see. Yes, I highlighted it. It said 21% law of loss, equity of 100 million. So my equity is already, remember, it forms part of my net assets. Then the next thing is my retained earnings. So how much is my retained earnings now? 150. So if I add that together, it will give me how much? 250, right? Did you see the point? It gives me 250. Now, and it says in the question that the fair value is actually, 265. So which means that there is an excess of how much? 15. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Okay, let me see if you really know that. I need to be sure, please. Sorry. So this is what the guy they are saying. Let me just recap on that, because the more you get it, the better, and you can be guaranteed of taking out this paper. Okay. Now you remember how we do our net asset, right? So let me quickly do that. So normally we say at acquisition, if you remember, and at reporting date, so that you can have your posts. Okay. So we said equity. I'm sure you know how we get the equity, right? 100. So it's always 100 here. Then you have post. Then we have our retained earnings. You remember? Okay. Sorry, retained earnings. So my retained earnings as at acquisition, when I obtain control, that's 1st December 2006, is 150. Okay. Now, if you go to the balance sheet, as at now, I think it's 180, if you can remember. Now, the guy now told me to say the fair value of my net assets is actually 265. Did you see the issue now? He now said the difference was because of a specialized machinery. So that means I have fair value adjustment, or you can call it PPE. Okay, so if you look at the difference here, you have something like 15. So that's it. So not in all cases, the examiner will just give you straight up. If you say they are equal, that means the kind amount of net assets acquired is equal to its fair value, so you don't bother. So you already told me that they are, it's 15. So if I like I put, I'm going to recognize this 15 here. So here I already have 30, and it told me about depreciation. So I could have also put my depreciation somewhere around here so that I have a balance here, okay? So that we have done all of this before. So I just wanted to be sure you are cool on that, okay? So that's why I have to come here. So let me move away from here, okay? Now, where's the slide? Okay, same. Okay, so this is where we are. All right. Now, so that's what happened here. Okay. So that's exactly how we got this 15. Can you see? So, okay. So even if you can't explain the way the examiner is explaining, just do that and do small notes, So that's how we got that 15. So that 15, that means I will increase my PPE by that 15 and credit goodwill. Okay. Because when when we computed our goodwill, we use this what's it called, the 265. Okay, we use 265, so we already credited goodwill. So this is how you do it. So you now compute your depreciation. Depreciation goes to profit, you credit PPE. So that's what was done here. How do I know depreciation? They already told me 10 years in the question. Can you see? This is the 10 years that I highlighted in red. Okay, so you do that. You do that in the what's it called, in the depreciation. So my depreciation is going to be shared between parents and NCI. That's the explanation that you have here. Is also 1 mark. So this is what we did earlier, and successfully you have finished part A of that question. And how many marks is that? Let me see. Sorry. Oh, I'm using this for the question. I think 11 marks, right? So if you can do that successfully, you just have 11 marks. Any question for me before I go to the second part? Any question for me? Please take a look at it. Take a look at it. Which one you don't understand is very straightforward. Very straightforward. Any question for me? Any question? There is no question. Okay. So let's move to part 2. It said discuss with calculation how the purchase of the additional share capital. Okay. Oh, okay. How the purchase of the additional share capital in loss should have been accounted for. Okay, so what happens? Let's see in the additional. Okay, so this is the purchase of additional share in loss. Okay, so what happens here? Now be with me here. So let's see. On 30th November 2007, Bet purchased additional 5%. Okay. We already had 80%, 21%. Then we bought 59, that is 80. Then from 80, we bought additional 5%. That is what we call control to control scenarios. I have not taken you that, okay? I have not taken, I said I have to pause so that I'm sure that we are cool on step acquisition and disposal of subsidiary. I need to be sure. But this is a control to control scenario from 80% to 75%, okay? In this case, so I will take you, but let me start from now, okay? I will still take you. That's the first thing we are doing on Tuesday next week by God's grace, control to control scenario. But let me lay some background using this question. Now, be with me here. Whenever there is a control to control scenario, for example, between 80% to 85% in this case, or between 85% down to 80%, that's what we call control to control scenario. When there is control to control scenario, it will either give rise to an increase in NCI or decrease in NCI, okay? Goodwill is not recalculated. Take note of that. Goodwill is not recalculated. In fact, that transaction or that event is seen as a normal transaction between the group, okay? Now, the only thing that is affected is the NCI that will either increase or decrease, okay? Now, what the standard is now saying is this. IFRS 3 is now saying that the difference between the sales proceed, I have to pay to buy this control, or I can also sell, to reduce my control, I still have control. So the difference between the sales proceed and the decrease or increase in NCI is recorded as other component of equity in my balance sheet. That's what it's saying. But don't worry, I'm going to take you, properly next, what's it called? On Tuesday, okay? But let me use this question to start so that you start learning it. Okay, so he said he bought additional 5% of ordinary share, of loss. Consideration transferred. So he transferred 15 million cash and it was expense. No, you don't expense. Okay, you don't expense. It has to be credited. It has to be credited as what's it called, part of cost of investment. So it was wrong. Okay, I think okay, what's it called? Okay, now on 30th November, the retained earnings was 180. Okay, so the retained earnings was 180 and no other component of equity. Okay, so now in the requirement, so we have something else there. It now said discuss the calculation how the purchase of additional share capital. So we are interested in this. How do we do that? I will also use a pro forma. Okay, I will use a pro forma. So let me see. Okay, I have a question here. So I can go to my board marker. So let me display that for you. It's very simple. Okay. Now, sorry, I'm looking for the board marker so that I can work that out. Don't mind my handwriting. Once you understand, that's fine. But I think I'm improving. Okay, so I have to successfully clean the board. Okay, so let's see whether I can work that out. Okay, so we have a Z additional purchase of share. So I can call it control to control. Okay. I have sorry. Sorry. I don't know why I'm writing. What's it called? Okay. Sorry. Okay. Oh, what kind of pen is this one? Sorry. Oh my god. Okay, let me go on to my black pen. Why is he writing 0? Oh, okay. Sorry, let me just restart this. Let me just restart. Yeah. Okay. Where is 0 again? Why not? Sorry. Okay. Don't worry, you're just solving questions today. So I'm glad we are doing that. Now, okay, fine, brilliant. Control to control. Okay, so we have from, okay, let me do this. 80% to, is it, we bought 5, right? That is to 85%, right? Okay. All right, so that's what I'm doing. Oh, my hand is not straight though, don't worry. So I have my dollar sign, okay? I'm just looking for 2 items. One, how much was the consideration transferred? Consideration. That's C. I don't know why he's writing this one. That's C. So I look at the question. So it said purchase of additional share. How much? I paid 15 million. Okay. I paid 15 million. So normally I will credit this as part of my credit cash because money has gone out. But if you look at the question, they expensed it. That was wrong. Okay. Now I will now look at, now listen to me here. When I have 80% control, my NCI was, let me see if I can do that for you. I want to see. When I have 80% control, my NCI was 20. I'm sure you agree with me. Okay. Now, when I have 85%, because I bought more, right? So my NCI would have decreased to 15%. Do you agree? Yeah, that's decreased. So remember that whenever there is control to control scenario, goodwill is not recomputed. Okay. However, it's going to affect my NCI. It's either is increasing or is decreasing. So if I have 85% before, my NCI is 15%, and I sold part of my investment. Let's say I sold 5, so that means my control reduced to 80%. The NCI would have increased. Did you see the point? But this question we are dealing with, NCI decreased. Does that make sense, right? Okay, so I will now say decrease in NCI. Okay, so how do I compute that? Be with me here. How do I compute that? That I ask, how much shareholding did I buy? The guy told me 5. Is that okay? So I write 5. What was my current NCI? Is that not 20? I divide by 20. That's it. Then multiply by NCI. Then I ask the question, did he give me NCI? He did not give me. I have to compute NCI. Okay, so I go somewhere in my notes to try to compute my NCI. Everybody knows how to compute NCI. Okay, so I will now say, sometimes some exams, they are going to give you the NCI. So I will now say NCI. Okay, so if you look at the question, that's the main question. You're already giving a figure for NCI. Remember, we even use it in goodwill computation, if you can remember. So it already said how much is that from the question. What is my NCI? So he said, if you look at the last paragraph, he said the fair value of NCI is 60 million. Okay, so I come here, I say 60 million. Okay, normally when I'm doing my NCI, there's something we normally share post-acquisition profit. Okay, so and I have my that's you share what's it called, fair value, the balance of your Z net asset acquired and all of that. So I will say share of post-acquisition profits. Okay, remember it's 20%, if I'm correct. Is it 20%, right? Yeah, because we have our 80% control, multiply by, then remember, I think I did the equity for you earlier. Can you remember? Yeah, you know, we have retained earnings. That's the share of post-acquisition profit. So remember, we have 180. In fact, in this question, already told me that on 30th November, Loss had a retained earnings of 180. At acquisition, it has 150. Okay, so the difference between the two would be share of post-acquisition profits. So I'll say, so everybody can do this, right? 70 multiplied by 0.2. So it gives me, is that 70, right? Okay, sorry. Oh, 180 minus 150. Oh, sorry, it's 30 actually. Oh, where did I see 70? Then multiply by 0.2. So that should be 6, right? So this is 6. Okay, now remember we had depreciation in that question, if you can remember. So normally depreciation will be shared between the parent and NCI, regardless of, except there is a transfer, but here is the difference between the fair value of the net asset acquired. Okay, so I will say depreciation. Then I have, is it 20%? Multiply by, can you remember that figure? I think, is it, you know, we got 15 million divided by 10. Okay, that's 1.5. Okay, that's 1.5. Okay, so I compute that so that I can have 0.2 times 1.5. That's 1.5. So I have 300 here. Okay, so because it's depreciation, right? So when I net off, I will have something like 65. Is that 65,700? Yeah, 65,700. So this is my NCI. So I will now come back to my main account. Okay, I come back to my main account. So I'll now say multiply by 65.7. Okay, so I press my calculator. This is a decrease in NCI, right? So I will say 5. How did you get the 5? That was a 5% additional holding, and 20% is the 20 in the denominator is the NCI. Okay, so I'll now say 5 divided by 20 multiplied by 65,700. So what will this one gives me? It will give me 16,425. Remember, it's a decrease, so I'm removing it from the amount that I paid. Okay, so this is going to be debit because my NCI will be reduced by that figure. So the difference will now give me 1,425. Okay, so because it's higher than what I'm paying for. Okay, so this will be accounted for in the other components of equity. That was exactly what I was explaining earlier, that the difference between the cash paid and the decrease in NCI will be accounted for in the other component of equity. So what you're now doing is you are going to credit other components of equity with this figure. You reduce NCI with this figure, and you go and knock out that 15 that was recognized in P or L wrongly because they're supposed to credit cash. You knock it out. Okay, so that's it. So let me go back to the slide. But don't worry, I'll still take you to control scenario. But this is exactly what I'm doing on Tuesday. The other way is when there is an increase. Okay, that means I'm selling. Money is coming in. Okay, sales proceed. Okay, it will now give rise to increase in NCI. All right, so we are going to see that as well. So I'm just using this question to introduce it to control scenario. All right, so that's fine. Let me look for the slide again. Okay, found. Okay, so this is what I just did there. Let me see that additional. Okay, can you see? Additional share bets, control loss before, blah, blah, blah. So they're making explanation. Yeah, can you see? Okay, we got this NCI. We did this NCI, and we got this 16.4 million. Can you see? 5/20 of the NCI. And the amount I paid was 15. Can you see that? So that we can have this difference 1.4. So all you need to do is to debit NCI because that's decreased by this figure. Okay, that's a decrease in NCI. Then you go and credit P or L, so that you can go and remove, the expense, the 15 million, they already debited it. So you go and credit it. Then the difference, it will now be accounted for in the other component of equity. That's what I did now. And that is the end of that part of the question. That is the end of that part of the question. It's as simple as that. Any question from me? We are still on question 1. Yeah, we are still on question 1. So we have 2 more questions to go. I just want to show you that there's no big deal here. Okay. So since there is no question, so we can go to the next aspect of the question, which is JAM. Now, let me look at the requirement. What did they want us to do around JAM? Now, it said discuss why the directors of debt were correct to classify the proposed sale of JAM as a disposal group held for sale within the context of IFRS 5. Okay, and we have done IFRS 5, remember. Okay, so let me look at the other part. Now, say discuss the calculation of the correct accounting treatment of the investment in JAM in the concept. Okay, fine. So let's look at JAM. We've not read JAM at all. So let's read it. Okay, it said Bet acquired all equity shares of JAM on 1st December 20X5. Okay. For a consideration of 1.2 million. I even have the question here. Let me see. Yes, I do. Okay. So we have a consideration of 1.2 million there. Okay. The total carrying amount of the identifiable net assets was 1.3. Okay. You see, all these stuffs are very key, so you need to highlight them. Now, but unfortunately in your exams, I don't think you can highlight. I'm not really too sure for computer-based exam. Now, okay, I think you can highlight, you can't copy. You can only copy the requirements. So they make it so difficult, but you can highlight, yeah. Now, and this was the same as the fair value at November 30, 20X7. That was in the process of selling its entire shareholding in JAM. Okay, so this is quite instructive. And so it was decided that JAM should be treated as a disposal group held for sale. Brilliant. Okay, so they are linking this back to IFRS 5, and we did it 4 weeks ago. In accordance with IFRS 5, okay, the current amount of JAM net assets before classification as held for sale at 30th November 20X7 in the individual financial statement as follows. So we are giving PPE, intangible assets excluding goodwill, current asset, recoverable amount, non-current liability, current liabilities, so that we have this figure. Okay, brilliant. Now, the group has a policy of revaluing its properties in accordance with IAS 16, property, plant, and equipment. There have been no revaluation since the date of acquisition as a kind amount, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So they now said, however, at 30th November, the property with a kind amount of 330, okay, was determined to have a fair value of 340. Okay, so we need to revalue one of those property. Now, no adjustment has yet been made to the fair value, so we need to do that. Now, the total value, the total fair value, less cost to sell. Is 1.2. Sorry, let me just. Okay, now there has been no previous impairment. Okay, to the goodwill. Right? So they now say JAM operates in an electric generation industry which is highly regulated. It is thought that it is highly probable that the purchaser will be found for JAM shortly after the reporting period. Okay. But that any sale will be subject to regulatory approval and it will be extended. Okay. Actions required to comply with regulatory approval cannot be initiated until a purchase commitment is obtained from prospective acquirer. In the meantime, JAM will continue to supply the electricity to its existing customers. Okay. BET intends to sell all of its shares to the new purchaser who obtain all of JAM's rights and obligation. The directors of JAM do not intend to sell off any significant assets on individual basis. As this could impact on the supply. Okay. So they don't want to sell on individual basis. Okay. Once they sell on individual basis, so that means it's not disposal. That's the meaning. This could impact on supply, blah, 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 after the sales of shares. Okay, brilliant. What a question. So it now says, discuss why the directors of BET were correct to classify the proposed sale of JAM as disposal group. Held for sale within the context of IFRS 5. See, it said, discuss why they were correct. Question. Wow. So they are correct. So why? It's not ICAN. ACCA. ICAN would have asked you, what are the criteria What are the criteria for a disposal group to be classified as held for sale? Then start listing them. Maybe 5 marks. But I'm sure if you list them here, 1 mark. Those 6 conditions, or are they 7? Can you remember? The asset must be available for immediate sale in its present condition, and the sale must be highly probable. That's what I would have asked. What a question here. Wow. Why the directors of bets were correct? So let's find out. Let's find out. And the answer is here actually, because it has not asked me to compute. In the, let me see the second part. The answer discussed with calculations the correct accounting treatment of the investment in JAM. So part B is now saying I should compute. So the answer is here. So they class it as a disposal group. So if I want to answer this question, I'll start by telling the examiner what a disposal group is all about. But I can pick up some insight here. Said the directors of JAM do not intend to sell the significant asset individually. What it means is for some group of assets to be a disposal group, they have to be disposed of together. That's what I mean by disposal group. It is not a single asset, okay? It's not a single, so it's a disposal group, right? So most likely, it's different from cash generating units. Cash generating unit is just more or less identifiable group of assets that are independent, that which cash flows are independent of other assets. Is that okay? All right. So it's just part of segment of business. When I say it's a disposal group, okay, is quite, it involves all the interrelated business that are trying to sell off in a single transaction. So we now say, why are they correct? So we now go ahead to list the requirements or the recognition criteria as held for sale under IFRS 5. The same must be highly probable, appropriate level of management must be found, the action to locate the buyer has started, the price offer for the asset, there's no plan to withdraw the asset from being sold, and the sale is expected to occur in the next 1 year. You now start to analyze. He said they are correct, but let's find out. Are they really correct? He said it is highly probable that the purchaser will be found for JAM shortly after the year end. Highly probable. Okay, but any sale will be subject to regulatory approval, will extend till whatever, November 2028. That means they can sell it within the next 12 months. That's how you analyze it. Actions required to comply with regulatory approval will not start until a purchase commitment has been found. Okay, this is not really within the recognition criteria. And also in the meantime, JAM will continue to supply electricity to its existing customer. What does that mean? This might implies that the disposal group is not available for immediate sale in its present condition. That might imply, but it didn't tell me whether they have backlog of customer and all that. We just said they will continue to supply. Then BET intends to sell all its shares, blah, blah, blah. So once to analyze it, so all these reasons, they are correct to dispose it or to classify it as held for sale. Let me even see how the answer looks like. I'm just using my head to answer. Okay, let's see. Disposal group. Okay, so can you see now? So it was divined. It was divined here. Okay. Now, they now talk about held for sale. Can you see? They listed all the requirements and it was just 1 mark. So let me look at the analysis. He said JAM is planning to continue supply to its existing customer, which may suggest that the asset is not available. Is that not what I just said? Did you see that? I'm just applying the principle. However, it would appear unusual and customary for JAM to continue. I think it's normal, to supply its customer until sales takes place. A failure to do so will impact on regulation, on the reputation of JAM. The regulatory approval may extend the sales period beyond this, placing doubt on whether the sale is highly probable. Can you see they are just scribbling also? Then, however, the criteria for the sale to be completed in 12 months is relaxed if regulatory approval cannot be sought until. IFRS 5 also says that if you cannot sell within the next 12 months and the circumstances beyond your control, you can continue to classify it as held for sale, provided those conditions are still met at the reporting date. Okay, so that's just the argument around that. Okay, so that's the argument around that. So let's now look at the the other part of the question, the accounting treatment. Okay, let me look at what the question is saying. It said, discuss with calculation the correct accounting treatment. I remember that assets or disposal group classified as held for sale are measured at the lower of their carrying amount and fair value less cost to sell. Okay, they are measured at the lower their carrying amount and fair value less cost to sell. Okay, so when I come here, I told you I have given you a clue on how to answer questions. So just go and start from the first paragraph and start solving. It said, so here, they said excluding goodwill here. So I need to compute goodwill. Everybody knows how to do goodwill. Huh? I look at my purchase consideration. If I have NCI, fine. Then I remove from my net assets. So it said 1st December, this is my consideration, 1.2. Total carrying amount of identifiable net assets is 1.3. Do I have NCI? The answer is no, because it said I acquire all equity shares in JAN. All. Did you see that? So you have to, place cognizance to details. It said I acquire all. So when I remove the purchase consideration, which is 1.250, I remove from the fair value of net, fair value of net assets at acquisition, 1.23. What will I have? My class, what will I have? I have, is that 20? So that 20 is my goodwill. So what happens? So that means that goodwill will form part of this figure here. So I will have 1.1, I will have 1292. Is that so? 1292. So when I had that 20, I'll still show you the computation. So I'm just breaking it down. So I don't need to start doing that on the marker board. That's quite straightforward. Then I'll now go to the evaluation of PPE. I saw that question. I'll go to the evaluation of PPE. I have to revalue from 30 to 340. Is that 10? Okay, so that 10 is also coming here. That's the revaluation. It's also coming here. Did they give me maybe, what do they call it? Depreciation. They didn't give me depreciation. But don't forget that 10 is in two. I'll treat it, the accounting treatment will be debit PPE and credit OCI, because these are a 16. Okay, these are a 16. So you need to know a 16. If you are doing ACCA, you need to know a 16, right? You are taking ICANN, you don't need to know a 16. Nobody bothers you about that. But if you know it, that's fine. Okay, so now, so I have done that. Okay, I will now have to measure, that's classification as held for sale. I will now measure at the lower of their carrying amount. Okay, so this is my carrying amount. I cannot write on this board. Remember, we already had 20 on goodwill. That has increased the carrying amount. Look at it, 1272 plus 20, then plus 10. So I have 1302. Maybe I should just be showing you that computation here so that you understand. So that's how we got this 1202 here. Can you see? Let me see where it is. Okay, so everybody understand how we got this 20. I already explained that. And now we revalued so that our total will now be 1302. Okay, I don't like looking at those solutions. Okay, so that I can really explain better. Okay. Now, so I already have that figure. I will now look at, that's my carrying amount. Then I will look at fair value less cost to sell. He has computed it for me. He said it's 1.220. Okay, 1220. So when I remove that, I would say minus 1220. So I have 82. Okay, so that means I need to write down these assets from 1302 to 1220 because that is the lower. Asset held for sale or disposal group held for sale are carried at the lower of their carrying amount and fair value less cost to sell. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's it. So now I have impairment. The difference is now impairment loss. How much is that? 82. Okay, so I will first allocate it to goodwill. Remember, goodwill is 20. I take it out. The balance, I will now allocate it on pro rata basis to other assets. That would be PPE, intangible assets, and all of that. I think something like that should be here. So I have the 62. Remember, it's 82. I will now take it on plant and on intangible assets. I'm sure you know how to do pro rata. And that is the end of that question. That is the end of that question. So it's because I'm teaching. That's why it's taking me longer time. If I'm writing this exam, in 20 minutes, I'll be able to deal with it because I already know what to do. And that's what I've shown you. Even if you don't know anything, just start solving from those paragraphs. Once you determine that this is a step acquisition, what do? You just go straight to your performance and start explaining. Okay, as simple as that. Can we look at question 2? Let's see whether we can look at question 2. If you have question, please drop it on the chat room. I have question 2 for us here. Let me see the interest in question 2. Let me see the interest in question 2. Okay, are you talking? Okay, you're talking about the kind amount. Is it between 1220 and 1272? No, you know that 1272 is the original kind amount, but goodwill has been added. Remember, we got the goodwill 20, so that makes it 1292. Is that okay? Then we also revalue property from 330 to 340. Does that make sense, right? Okay, so you add that together to get the carrying amount. So what the examiner has done is it didn't include certain carrying amount so that you can increase that carrying amount and compare to yes, that 1302, yes. So that's what you are comparing. Is that okay? Thank you. Binad, it means you are really following. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So this is a question day. These are classical past questions, ACC. Even though ACC don't repeat past questions, yeah. But anything they are giving is similar. It's the same pattern. You change figures, dribble it a little bit, make it more practical and all of that. So, but once you understand, you have your rules at your fingertips, then you can fly. Okay? Please, no asset held for sale properly. You will see it will come. Okay, now let me see what is interested in this question. She said, discuss the correct accounting treatment of the contract. That should be IFRS 15, okay, or leases. That'll be 2, but I'm not ready the scenario. Okay, part 2 of the question, or part B, said, discuss the correct accounting treatment for the purchase of sand in the ordinary shares on the consolidated account, okay? Then discuss the ethical issues. Yeah, so I can use this question to also, you will see ethical issues. It will come out, even in ICA, it will come out, okay? All right, so let's read the question. We won't be able to do question 3, but go and look at it on your own, okay? If you have issues, it's just the same pattern on what we have been taking. What you may not be able to do on question 3, I guess, financial instruments is there. Measurement of bond and all of that. I'm not taking you that, although it's very straightforward, you just do amortized costs. So you do this, you split it into liability and equity, okay? So, but don't worry, I'll come to financial instruments in the coming week. That's the only part you can, but you can do the other parts. Computation of goodwill, deferred consideration, and all of that, okay? So please sit on it, though, I'm begging. Now, so let's look at this question in the next 15 minutes that we have. So let me deal with question 2. Okay, this is background, okay? Now, Limna is a public limited entity that operates in the consulting industry and prepares financial statements in accordance with IFRS. Economic uncertainties have led to sudden unexpected cash flow shortages. Okay, so the directors have submitted a bank loan. These are practical questions. Anytime I read all those questions, man, come on. Okay, the bank wants to review Limna's published financial statement for the year ended 30th June 2028. So you just assume I'm working in this company and economic downtime, COVID-19, expected future cash flow is really coming down. What's it called? Interest rate volatility is really affecting us. Okay, so what's going on? So let's find out. During September 2028, a new financial controller started working with Limna. She has been helping the finance director to finalize the financial statement for the year ended 30th June 2028. She's on 6-month probation. You see, all this information, they are not giving you for free. It's not just there to make the write-up to be long. They have reasons, Okay, so he's on 6 month probation period and has been told that our position is likely to be made permanent if the bank loan is secured. Ethical issue. That's pressure, intimidation. Oh my. So that means you need to doctor the accounts, or you nurse the account. You cannot doctor, you nurse, Abby, anti-nurse. So that's critical. Okay. Now, colleagues informed the financial controller that our predecessor left Limna after just 2 months as a result of an argument with the finance director. Oh, wow. So they even have pending issues. The financial controller is concerned about the following 2 issues, but is unsure on what she could do about them. And you are the advisor. Okay, so let's find out. Contract. During the year, Limna entered into a new contract with customer with a transaction price of 300. I'm interested in that. I'm not taking you IFRS 15, but it doesn't mean we can't really look at this question. So start learning it in advance. And a single performance obligation, Limna has recognized full transaction price as revenue. Why? Oh, wow. Probably to boost their profit. Remember, they want to apply for loan. Okay. At contract inception, the customer paid $50,000 of the transaction price as non-refundable deposit. Okay, fine. So since it's non-refundable, I can decide to recognize 50,000. Okay. Over a 6-month period, Limna conducts survey interviews and focus group for the customer's employee. At the end of the 6 months, Limna will provide a report to the customer outlining a range of suggested strategies aimed at improving employee motivation, efficiency, and productivity. The strategies outlined in Limna's report will relate solely to facts and circumstances that are more specific to the customer. Limna commenced to work on a contract on 1st May 20x8. Okay, that's brilliant. If the customer terminates the contract, then at the terms of the contract, Limna retains the deposit but is not entitled to any further compensation. Okay. Yeah, I know it's non-refundable. So obviously, I already told you can take it as revenue. Now, in the event of contract termination, Limna will not share the result of the work performed today with the customer or with any other consultant. Brilliant. Okay. So why did they now recognize the contract price? That is an ethical issue. They should not. In line with IFRS 15, you recognize revenue when performance obligation is being satisfied, which can be at a point in time or over time. After IFRS 15. So let's look at the second issue. It said during the period, Limna purchased 100% of ordinary share of Sound and paid 5 million. Wow, 100% and paid 5 million. Okay, brilliant. Now, at the acquisition date, the only asset owned by Sand were 3 similar plots of land at the outskirts of a major city. The total fair value of the plot of land was 5.2. Okay. Sand has no employee. Wow. This is interesting. What a question. Limna has accounted for Sound in its consolidated financial statement using acquisition method. Oh, really? Oh. Recognizing a gain on a bargain purchase of 2 million in the statement of profit or loss account. Wow. They are trying. Discuss the correct accounting treatment of the contracts. As at this date, they cannot recognize this 300. It should have been taken as contract liability. Okay. Now, discuss the correct accounting treatment of the purchase of Sound ordinary share in the consolidated account. Now, what is the issue here? IFRS 3. defines business. Remember, I told you 3 weeks ago that there's difference between acquisition of a business and purchase of an asset. So let's go back to the basics to see whether they have actually acquired a business here, because they have applied IFRS 3 acquisition method. Remember, we said that day that according to IFRS 3, the business is an integrated set of activities and assets that is capable of being conducted and managed to provide a return in form of dividend, lower cost, and other economic benefits. Set is an integrated set of activities and assets. Two things. Set of activities and assets. Two things. If I look at this question, SAN has no employee. There is no activity. So the 3 plots of land that they have acquired is an asset and not the business. So, and as such, they cannot apply IFRS 3. So they needed to derecognize this 0.2 million in the account and take and just expense or capitalize this 5 million for that plot of land. It's as simple as that. That's what I explained to the examiner. Lobaton discuss the ethical issues. Profit has been overstated under that contract because they have recognized revenue, liquidity. They don't, they may not even take that money, okay? Because they can terminate. Those are ethical issues in the case scenario. So let's look at the answer. I've answered. This is the explanation on IFRS 15. So I've already talked about that actually. So, but because I've not really taken you, so you can just go through it so that you know more of that. Can you see? The 50,000 received should be shown as contract liability. Did I not tell you that? Okay. Now look at sound. IFRS 3, business combination. State acquisition method is applied when entity obtains control over another entity. So the fact that they said they have purchased everything, it doesn't automatically mean they have acquired another entity. A business consists of input and processes. That's why I have to go and define it for you. Okay. Now, so what it means is they have acquired an asset. So the fair value of the total asset acquired is the plot of land. So this means that the purchase of SAN in ordinary share does not constitute a business combination. That's what I've told you. Okay. So that gain of 2 million that has been recognized should be removed. They have to recognize it. Okay. So depending on how to want to value their PPE, so they have to value it at purchase cost. That's it. That's it. You have your 5 marks. You can do that. Then ethical issues, contract error, they overstate revenue to improve their performance, and all of that. So that's why you're stating they overstated their profit. That's why you're stating. So just read it to understand. Tell the examiner, feel free, write, the way you want to write in the examiner. Maybe I told you intimidation earlier, self-interest, threat, or to objectivity. So just bring up your, what's it called? ICAN, ACCA Code of Ethics is the same thing with ICAN. Self-interest, self-review, all those threats, intimidation, advocacy, those are the threats. Then the ICAN ACCA Code of Ethics and ICAN Code of Ethics talk about objectivity, integrity, confidentiality, professional behavior, professional care, technical competence and due care, and all of that. So you just look for the ones that fit in, and that is the end of that question. Any question for me? Successfully, we have solved 2 mega questions. Something similar that you're going to see in your exams. So question 3, please take your time to look at it. If you have questions for me, feel free to give me a call or you send a chat to me. I'll be glad to answer it. But I'm really very glad today because we're able to deal with standard exam questions. When I was doing it, I was like, this is too simple, but at least we have seen it. So these are bigger scenarios. So all those scenarios are just there. Once you are able to decipher, to break it down, then you are making life easier for yourself. So thank you for staying with me tonight. So by God's grace, I see you next week, Tuesday, by God's grace. So I'm going straight to control scenario. Then by Wednesday, we go back to our accounting standards. You can see now that even from question 1, accounting standard we feature. You could see IFRS 15 that we just dealt with, IFRS 5 coming up, in a mix of group accounting. So that's very important. So Wednesday, Thursday, we go back to our standards. So the upper week, I'll take foreign subsidiary, group cash flows, financial instruments, IAS 12, was that income taxes. So in the subsequent week, I take IAS 19. Which other one is remaining? I think that should be all. Then I might brush through IAS 16 and some other key standards. So we are on course. So we're going to cover the syllabus. So thank you so much. Enjoy your night, friends. Take care. Good night.